Welcome to Envisioning Success, the weekly podcast that's your prescription for business clarity. Join Laura DiBenedetto and Julia Becker Collins as they unravel the essence of trust building and how to share true expertise. It's not just about claiming the title, but proving it through actions. Join Laura and Julia as they explore the power of consistent, valuable messaging and why actions speak louder than titles. Stay tuned for strategies to become the go-to expert.
Howdy. I'm Laura DiBenedetto, and I am excited to be partnered here with Julia Becker Collins. This is Envisioning Success. We're here to help you make a ton of money and have fun while you're doing it. And today we're talking about messaging again. This is the fourth in the series where we're talking about messaging and helping you speak the right words to your avatar so you can, make sales and hit your numbers and grow your company and do all the things. So today's subject is trust builder, using your messages to become the go-to expert. And so the way that we do these episodes is it all begins with me having a harebrained idea of let's talk about this for a month. And then Julia and I go back and forth in Asana and we look at it, and she actually made the note and it made me laugh. So I'm going to read it out loud. So many people think that it's obvious they're an expert. Insert eye roll here. That's why trust is important.
You're welcome.
I love you.
Well, it's true. People, these days especially, all you have to do is say you're an expert and suddenly you're an expert with a capital E, and nobody, checks on it, except most people aren't experts.
Grown. Yeah, I can't even. I mean, to me, it's as laughable as a 20-year-old life coach. Get out of here. What the hell do you know? You can't legally buy alcohol and you can't rent a car. You got nothing. Like, you're not an expert. Get out of here. No, I think that, I remember attending a lecture one time where they were talking about the subject of expertise. And it was very interesting. Like, oh yeah, everybody labels themselves an expert, but it's one of the biggest things that you can do that makes you look like a jackass to label yourself as an expert. Other people can label you as an expert, and you should build a reputation, but it's really uncouth to be like, I'm an expert. No, you need to imply it heavily and let other people come to that conclusion.
Right. And, this is one of the things I talk about with our clients or prospective clients about showing expertise. Yes, you may be an expert at hazardous waste removal. That is a very difficult thing, and I can guarantee you know more than I do. But rather than saying you're an expert, let's show that you're an expert. And that's why, right?
Yes.
That's why how you say things and when you say things and who you're saying them to really matters. And that you're also not talking down to people, but you're also very educated.
Yeah. I have found, man, I love this subject, expertise. It's like you can really learn so much about someone's alleged or actual expertise by the questions they ask, not the answers they give. Anybody can just talk and talk and talk and just, puffery and bloviation. Is that a $4 word, $5, maybe $10? Bloviation? A lot of people don't use that one.
But just because they don't use it doesn't mean it's good. You're not an expert.
Damn.
Oh.
Oof. Right in the gut. Well, the thing about all of this stuff is that it can really make people be turned off if you don't do it right. If you position yourself as an expert when you're not, if you can't answer questions with any sort of power, you're not. And if you can't ask good questions, there's no frickin' way in hell you're an expert. So
Absolutely.
One of the things that I think is really important is how to earn people's respect as an expert without saying, hey, I'm an expert. Because again, you can't say it.
Right. Agreed. And also the other part of that is, say somebody buys into it that you're saying you're an expert and you sell to them, but suddenly they're behind the curtain and realize you're not an expert at it. And now you've lost a client, and that is more expensive to replace than keeping a client, as I always say. You
Yeah.
want to show that you know what you're talking about, not just use your energy and your screen time to say, like in our case, I'm a marketing expert. I mean, I am, but that's not what I talk about. So,
Right. Well, same. And, when I build my content, like I posted something really interesting and juicy the other day on LinkedIn, and nowhere in there did I say I'm an expert. I showed it. I
right.
talked about why business owners have a difficult time retiring and replacing themselves. Spoiler alert, the answer is because they don't know what got them their success in the first place, so they can't replicate it.
Right. I've
Happens
written
a
a
lot.
number of articles for the Worcester Business Journal. And rather than saying, hey, I'm an expert in employee retention and employee recruitment, I say, here are the top 10 tips for, post 2020 employee
Mm.
retention and recruitment. This is what's worked for me.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
No, I love it. So, the theme here in the overview is really, how to unveil. I'm looking at my notes, the right messages and how they can position you as the trusted authority. And that's really everything we're saying here. And one of the first bullet points I have in my notes is building bridges and how trust is earned through consistent, helpful messages. So you're offering 10 different tips. I'm offering insight on different things that business owners face. And I often offer solutions. I ask questions that make people really think. You can do the same thing. And when you are consistent, you help and you serve. It could be the wedding cake thing. How do you pick a wedding cake? Let me walk you through the top 5 things you need to know. Oh, you need to get rid of paint? These are 5 chemicals in your garage that are probably going to make you sick if you keep them, blah, blah, blah. So you can demonstrate your expertise by solving people's problems. And this is all part of your messaging that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And you can do this by posing good questions. You can answer good questions. You can get people to start thinking, but you provide consistent, helpful content. And I think that's something, Julia, you're great at that. I'm great at that. Thank God I never used to be a really consistent marketer for myself. I was always awesome at sales. But the more consistent I get at drinking my own Kool-Aid, turns out it's really good.
No, it's totally true. And part of this is, when you're talking about how trust is earned through consistent, helpful messaging, it's also showing like this is what we're good at and we don't do these other things over there. And I feel like I'm beating the dead horse dead again, to use a phrase that an old client once said to me. And it's one of my favorite phrases. Showing what you're good at, showing what you're not good at, when to refer out, when to keep things in-house. In a previous episode, we talked about strategic partnerships. That's a great way to build bridges, to show the client that you know what you're good at and you know what you shouldn't be doing. It's good to show trust between yourself and a partner organization, that you're sending them business and that they can refer to you and that you're a person of your word.
Yeah. Credibility, integrity, all of those awesome things. Heck yeah. So the next bullet point in our notes here is being an expert in no time, sharing your knowledge and experience without the fluff. I think this, I'm going to go on a baby rant here. This
Oh boy.
grinds my gears. I can't
Strap in,
stand it when
everyone.
people stand back. There's going to be a big explosion. Like, I can't stand it when you get all these social media influencers, these crapfluencers, that they're all out there being like, you need to know these 5 things. They give you a 5-minute preamble and then it's like a balloon and there's like nothing. And it's like, you just wound me all up. It was all wind up and no pitch. How about no wind up and just the pitch? You're going to sell more stuff. Like, why are you like, that is not really the most effective way to build sales. It's a hell of a way to capitalize on algorithms and build a social media following of people who will never spend money with you. So if you're trying to build ad revenue because you're good at getting eyeballs, good on you. We're not the company for you. I'm going to tell you that right now because we don't do that stuff. But when you're actually providing genuine solutions and you wish to grow your business without being a schmuck, then you're going to solve problems quickly, provide and show your expertise right away without the crap
Absolutely.
Rant over.
I mean, everything you're saying is making me think about how some people come right out of college and say that they are running a marketing agency
Guffaw.
and that they're experts because they grew up with social media. And it's, on one hand, yes, you did grow up with social media.
You're 21 and you're a digital native. Congratulations. You're not running
So
an
that's
agency.
great, but that doesn't mean that you know how to run it for business, and you also don't know about business or about the funnels we discussed in the last episode, which is an excellent deep dive. Thank you, Laura. But it's like you were saying, they can say over and over again, well, we're social media experts, we're website building experts, but have you shown me what you've done? Do you understand the strategy behind social media, rather than saying, I'll build you X amount of content for Y amount of dollars? How are you able to even quote that out if you don't know what they need? Do you even know that they need social media? And that's where you can kind of see behind the curtain a little bit and see the cracks in the outside.
Well, here's more curtains and more cracks. When you get a novice business owner who is like, oh, I'm an expert, A, I'm cringing, but B, you probably don't understand why someone needs it in the first place. And you're doing it to make a sale, and you're doing it to provide a service that you think is about social media or whatever. That really grinds my gears too, but I'm going to keep the rant to myself. Like, we provide social media. I know why we provide social media. Our clients know why we provide social media. And our staff knows why we provide social media. It has nothing to do with social media. It has everything to do with driving revenue, creating jobs, giving owners and leaders their time and their lives back. The social media is a freaking detail, man. That's all it is.
It's a tool to be used in a larger solution and strategy. It's not, oh, I think I need Facebook. Okay, well, why do you need Facebook? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, I'll still provide all of that for you. I could spend all day talking about this.
I feel like here's another grind my gears moment with Julia.
Ranting with Julia Becker Collins. That's
nice. Yeah. Oof, I understand. I think there's a certain amount of expertise that you do get to show as a more experienced and seasoned business leader. As I said, and I think in the very first episode, Julia and I have been here an embarrassingly long time. I'm the founder of the company. I didn't have a single wrinkle on my face when I started this company back in 1999. That's no longer the case. So couple of rings extra in the tree trunk now. But like, there's a certain level of actual expertise that is gained through just time, through maturity, through wisdom, through doing it, through screwing up. But these are the stories to tell, right? Absolutely. So as a marketing leader, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you stories about when I screwed up and what I learned. I'm going to tell you stories about what I used to do when I was younger that worked and didn't work. I'm going to tell you stories about how other people are struggling and what we are doing about it. I'm going to show you the way. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to show you. And I'm going to do that through storytelling. At the beginning of this month's series, it's not, messages are not buy my stuff. This show is not about, hey, buy our marketing services. It's not. You might decide to at some point, but it's only because we've demonstrated our expertise. Not because I said, hey, I'm an expert, buy my stuff. It's because I've given to you, I've helped you, I've served you, Julia's helped you and served you, and we've provided you so much value that when you have that moment where you need support, you know who to talk to. That's what you can do. So when you are providing consistent, helpful messaging, this podcast is an example, our LinkedIn, our blog, sign up for our emails, by the way, because we do deep dives and really neat stuff in there, especially if you like these episodes. We do deeper dives into some of the interesting meaty bits that come off the bone when we're talking.
Yep, and you can sign up for it.
I'm hungry, I think. We're talking about cake and bones, and I'm just thinking about ribeye with a big old slice of chocolate cake on the side.
I love it. Yeah, you can sign up for the email list at vision-advertising.com.
Yes, please. That's a great idea. So let's go to our last bullet point here. how do we become the reliable source that people turn to? Like, people ask, we answer. Julia, what do you think?
Well, how do you become the reliable source that they turn to? It's through everything we've discussed so far, showing up early before they realize they need something, having that consistent brand voice at every level of the company, external and internal, having clients that say great things about you, right? There is no replication, there is no anything that can substitute for genuine testimony and like reviews, people that love the work that you've done. But also, figuring out where your avatar is, right? Are they on social media? Are they listening to podcasts? Do they read the business journals? And then showing up with that brand voice and speaking to the avatar where they already are, not assuming that they're going to find you where you are. You're going where they are and saying, right?
Huge point. There was why it was an exclamation point on that.
That's okay.
Yes.
I'm okay with that. Yes. And, saying to them, giving them helpful advice and not saying, buy my stuff. Instead saying, oh, did you think about this when it comes to branding? And they can say, oh, I didn't think about that. I would love to talk to you about my branding. Some of the best sales I have ever made in my career are from people seeing me do public speaking or hearing me on a podcast or reading a piece I wrote for the Worcester Business Journal. They follow up with me and say, hey, I loved what you had to say. I'd love to talk to you more.
And my God, you just teed this up so nicely. Thank you for that. Swing and a hit. You made the point so beautifully about making yourself approachable. A lot of supposed experts don't. They put themselves up on this lofty mountain and make themselves inaccessible. That's the opposite of what you want to do. And, it doesn't mean that you need to consent to brain picking sessions. I never do. Oh, can I pick your brain? No. I'm happy to answer some questions for you. So I'll go back and forth with people, and sometimes they just have a quick 2-minute question. I'm happy to serve you. When they're ready, they'll seek me out. It's cool. I don't want to consent to giving someone a half an hour of my time for largely jawboning and one question. I don't enjoy socializing unless I already really know you. Like, I like hanging out with Julia, but I don't like just hanging out for the sake of hanging out. That sounds horrific to me. People like, yep. You want to network? No. The introvert in me honors and respects the extrovert in you and says no. But there's ways that you can make yourself approachable. And it's like, despite me being an introvert, and I know some of the folks listening to the show are introverted and really don't want to do the networking, I do it sometimes if it suits my needs, or if I see someone that really needs some love. Okay, I'm not stingy. Don't be stingy. Figure out how to provide love and expertise to people in a way that doesn't really cost you a lot. So when people engage on my LinkedIn, which is very successful, I have a super, super engaged audience on LinkedIn, and I know a lot of these people on a first name basis now because they engage in my comments. And if I post a thought leader piece where I'm dropping knowledge like it's hot, like really, really giving tons and tons of value, and I get people commenting with, oh, that's really great. Hey, what about this? I'll answer them in the comments, and then everybody's there to see it. So I'm giving more value. So when these people are ready, so I'm intersecting with them prior to when the need is. This is the timing episode from last week. I'm there before they have the need. When the need arises, I've built the reputation and I've made myself accessible the way Julia makes herself accessible. Because I know after you give a talk, you always have people walk up to you after and want to shake your hand and say hello to you and ask you questions. That's making yourself accessible. You write articles and, hey, I had a question. I saw your article. That was really great. Awesome. When you make yourself accessible and you make it easy and fun for people to talk to you and not feel like they're a burden or getting an invoice for like 10 minutes of your time, like you become the reliable source that they turn to, they trust, they like, and they feel safe with.
Yep, absolutely. The last, you just gave me a total flashback to the last event I spoke at, where there was a line of people for me to speak to after my presentation. It was almost overwhelming how many people wanted to speak to me. Two of the women that work for me were there just handing out my business cards left and right. And so having that authentic voice that people resonate with, that's what draws the standing room only. That's what draws people afterwards to want to follow up with you, follow you on social media. You might not make a sale directly after that speaking event or that article or that blog post, but now they're invested in you and think of you as the expert. And I think that's one of the things that people often miss in marketing, especially when you're marketing services, that there is a longer sales cycle. It is takes more marketing. And like Laura has been saying for the past number of episodes, you need to be in front of them before they realize they have the need. So sometimes it is a year-long sales cycle. Sometimes it's longer than that. I have sold to people 5 years after I had the initial conversation because we stayed in touch. They follow me on LinkedIn. They see the articles I write, and then they have a need. And now I'm the person they've thought of. And that's oftentimes what service providers don't realize.
No, that's very true. I mean, oftentimes we'll think like, oh, I went to the event, I didn't make a sale immediately after. It was a failure. No, it wasn't.
Right.
I have made sales immediately after events, as have you. We all have. But I mean, listen, it takes a lot to surprise me at this point. But I was really surprised when someone that I met like 12 to 15 years ago called me. Yeah, you made an impression on me all those years ago, and I've just kind of like followed passively along, and I couldn't afford you then, but I grew my company and I'm ready now. Oh my God, we're so much older. Really? You know my name? Wow. I mean, I was surprised. It really can take a while, and it doesn't mean your marketing isn't working, but that's why you do so much avatar development. That's why you do so much consistent messaging. That's why you do marketing. You are playing the long game. You are investing in relationships with prospective customers, even if the prospective customer journey is apparently 14 years. Like, that's an outlying example, folks. Don't get worried. How long can my marketing budget sustain for 14 years? Let's take it a year at a time. Most things will close within a year, but this is why you do marketing, because this is all part of the branding. When you speak your avatar's language, when you speak to their pain points, you intersect with them before they need you, you are branding yourself as the go-to expert. You are branding yourself as the answer to their prayers. And with that, we're done with the series. So thanks again for listening. Again, you know what? Julia brought it up in the green room before we hit record here. We do have our awesome little email that goes out, and we're giving out loads of free wisdom there. So, just speaking of whole expertise thing, you can be the judge of it, but there's some good stuff in there, and it's all free. So go sign up for that at vision-advertising.com. If you need some help, you want somebody to take a look at your marketing, you just have a question, we are actually accessible. We would love to hear your feedback on this episode. If you've got a question, something you really want us to address, we would love to do it for you. Hit us up at vision-advertising.com. The show is sponsored, shockingly, by Vision Advertising. This show is envisioning success. There's a pun in there. We're very punny. Yes. So like, subscribe, review, rate, do all the things. We will see you next week in the start of a brand new series. Julia, you are a rock star. I love you. And I'm Laura. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we'll see you next time.